What is the exact meaning of our existence? Is there actually a war between science and God? Or are they simply two different languages describing the exact same machine? If you look at human history, civilizations separated by vast oceans and thousands of years all wrote down the exact same 5 universal truths about reality. These cultures had absolutely zero way to communicate with each other. Yet, they all left us the exact same map. People usually ignore it. They write it off as coincidence. I spent my career as a fraud investigator. I looked for anomalies. I analyze complex systems. I don't believe in coincidence. I look at the raw data. When I was in high school, I hung out with the intellectuals, the guys on the electric car team, the ham radio club. And we used to joke about the ultimate impossible test question. Explain the nature of the universe, true or false? We thought it was the ultimate punchline is we'd say, I don't know, just move on. But the truth is, I have been obsessed with that exact question my entire life. Growing up in a foster system, religion wasn't exactly a spiritual awakening for me. It was an export strategy. The foster home needed ways to get the kids out of the house. So I was sent to church and catechism school 3 days a week. It was heavily forced on me at a young age. But as I got older, studying those texts became my own choice. I wasn't looking for the promise of salvation. I was profoundly curious about existence. My brain has always been hardwired for science. Even as a kid, I was completely enthralled by the mechanics of the world, like how a pulley system worked, the physics of a lever. At 14, I built my first computer from spare parts in my neighborhood. I was on a permanent quest to find the rules. I wanted to know the boundaries of the universe. What's the maximum? What's the absolute minimum? What are the laws of the universe? Society tells you to pick a side. It's either the Big Bang and evolution, or it's the divine. Pick one. I've always looked at that debate and asked the obvious question, why couldn't it be both? Why couldn't the Big Bang simply be the mechanical blueprint of exactly how it was done? Science and spirituality were never adversaries. We just forced them to compete. That mindset is exactly why I built a career investigating fraud, refusing to accept the surface level story. And it's why I continue to study hundreds of different religions, stripping away the politics just to find the raw data underneath. And when you take the shattered pieces of ancient theology from over 190 different cultures and put them side by side, you find out they are all broadcasting the exact same message. Quantum mechanics is finally providing the missing puzzle pieces to prove it. I realize now that the answer to that high school joke isn't a joke at all. The answer is true. The universe is true, and it's actively experiencing itself through you. What I'm presenting to you today isn't just some abstract theory. It's a structural reality of our existence. I believe this to be fact. It has been right in front of us the entire time. We're all just finally remembering it. Operating as a single render system, we have to answer the ultimate question. What are we? Why am I sitting here? And why are you sitting there? Look at the mechanics of a massive ancient tree. You start with a single unified root system, a single source of life pushing upward from the ground. It is one complete, undivided organism. But to survive, to actually experience the sunlight and the rain, that single tree grows tens of thousands of individual leaves. A leaf at the very top catches the direct morning sun. A leaf near the bottom lives entirely in the shade. A leaf on the edge is the first to get hit by the wind. When you stand underneath these branches looking up, your ego lies to you It says, look at all those thousands of separate individual leaves. But the investigator looks at the trunk. There are not 10,000 separate lives. There is only one tree. We are the leaves. We are the biological hardware. You, me, the dog at the park, the grasshopper on the sidewalk. We are all highly specific temporary extensions the universe grew so that it could experience reality from every possible unique angle. And when autumn comes and the leaves fall to the ground, the life behind it does not die. It does not disappear. It breaks down in the soil and simply returns to the roots. The leaf drops. The tree remains untouched. When you look at reality through the single render model, you realize the ancients weren't just writing poetry. They lacked the vocabulary for quantum physics, so they used the only language that they had. Watch what happens when you take the absolute truths shared across the world's major religions and lock them into place with modern science. Here are the 5 ultimate truths. Number 1, you are not separate. The ancient texts in the Bible, Christ explicitly states, the kingdom of God is within you. In ancient Hindu Upanishads, the core teaching is Tat Sam Asi, meaning you are that. They're telling you that the divine isn't in the sky, it's in you. In science, Nobel laureate Erwin Schrödinger proved mathematically that consciousness is singular. You are not a separate user. You are the universe looking through a specific lens. Number 2, fear is a glitch. In the ancient text, the single most repeated command in the entire Bible is, do not be afraid. While the book 1 John states, perfect love casts out fear. The Buddha taught that fear and hatred only cease through alignment. In science, fear was a biological survival mechanism for early humans. In a single render universe, fear is simply a thermodynamic resistance to the reality that we are all part of the exact same system. Number 3, the mind is a projector. In ancient texts, the opening line of the Buddha's Dhammapada states, with our thoughts, we make the world. The ancient book of Proverbs declare, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. In science, quantum mechanics proves that a quantum state only collapses into a physical reality when observed by a conscious mind. We don't walk through this reality. Our observation generates it. Number 4, the ego is a glitch. Let me define exactly what I mean by ego. I'm not talking about arrogance or vanity. The ego is your psychological survival suit. It's the armor that you stitch together to protect yourself in a harsh world. But its entire operating system is based on a lie. It relies on separation. The ego has to feel separate to survive. It needs to compare. It needs to compete. It needs to be better than or worse than the people around you. In ancient texts, this is exactly why Christ taught that to truly live, a person must die to himself. The Bhagavad Gita warns that the ego is the only true enemy of the mind. And the system, the ego is the false survival code. It is the lie that convinces your specific leaf that it is completely isolated from the rest of the tree. The ego demands hierarchy and conflict just to justify its own existence. That's conflict. Number 5, absolute connection. The ancient Mayan text, the Popol Vuh, describes the universe as heart of sky, heart of earth, one continuous living organism. The Apostle Paul wrote that humanity is simply many individual parts forming one single body. And the science quantum entanglement proves that particles separated by light years instantly react to one another. There is no empty space. Everything is touching. Now, any good investigator knows you don't just present a case, you cross-examine it. You anticipate the defense. So Let's put this single render model on the stand and look for the three major objections. Objection number one, the apathy defense. The skeptic says, if the universe is already a complete single system and I'm just a leaf on the tree, then none of my choices matter. I could just sit back and do nothing. The rebuttal, the tree contains life, but you are the specific biology required to actually process the sunlight. Without the leaf, the system goes dark in that spot. Your choices are not meaningless. They are the exact mathematical mechanism the universe relies on to experience the next moment of reality. Apathy is still a choice, and it still renders the result. Your autonomy is why you are here. Objection number two, the cruelty defense. The skeptic will say, if we're all grown from the exact same roots, then why do we hurt each other? Why is the world full of systemic cruelty and exploitation? The rebuttal, the biological hardware has a glitch. When a single leaf becomes infected by the ego, it becomes convinced it is completely isolated from the rest of the branches. It views the other leaves as a threat to its sunlight and water. Cruelty is not a cosmic law. It's a symptom of biological hardware operating on a corrupted, fear-based code. Objection number three, the nihilist defense. The skeptic will say, if my individual ego is an illusion, then my individual life and my individual rights don't actually matter. Objection, complete misdirection. If you are a completely unique, unrepeatable biological extension of the universe, your autonomy is the most valuable asset in existence. If your specific vantage point is obstructed, or if it's marginalized, or if it's erased by a broken system, the entire universe loses that exact perspective. Fighting for your autonomy, demanding your right to exist and function freely is not a selfish act of the ego. It's the structural requirement of the universe. You know, the deeper I dig into the mechanics of this universe, the more profound peace I find. This entire concept is not a cold scientific equation. It's the most beautiful story ever told. When you realize we are all operating inside the exact same system, the anger and the division simply dissolve. You and I are not strangers. We're not enemies fighting for space. We are the exact same source. We are all brothers and sisters, just leaves grown from the exact same roots. Every person you pass on the street is just another version of you, experiencing the universe from a different coordinate in space and time. Now, every piece of biological life in the universe looking at itself from a unique angle. No life is an accident. Your struggles, your joys, your exact specific perspective, they're a mathematical necessity for the universe to complete its own self-observation. You're not a separate observer. You are the universe's eyes. Explain the nature of the universe, true or false? The answer is true.